Alright, I'm just Blane, and this is Courtney Pearl, and we are about to crank up the synth and dive into Stranger Things Season 2, aka the year Hawkins went full Empire Strikes Back. New characters, bigger monsters, and yeah, more Eggo waffles. Grab your walkie-talkies and your Dig Dug high scores because we're starting with Chapter 1. Chapter 1, Mad Max. Fall 1984. Hawkins is prepping for Halloween, but the real scare, a new arcade champ named Mad Max has entered the fold. Max Mayfield, our rad California skater girl, and her psycho stepbrother Billy. Meanwhile, Hopper investigates rotting pumpkins and we'll start seeing visions of a giant shadow monster. This episode is special because it sets up the Mind Flayer and introduces Max, who becomes part of the gang. Also, the arcade scene, that's pure 80s gold. Mad Max, IMDb 8.3.
Episode 2, Halloween episode, my favorite. The gang goes as Ghostbusters and argue whether or not they have room for a fifth. Should they include Max? Mike's not so sure. Flashback to 11 playing Karana and surviving off of squirrels rescued by Hopper. He is not dad of the year, makes promises he can't keep, and crops are dying all over Hawkins. Nancy gets wild drunk and Steve's hair is on point.
That's Chapter 2, Trick or Treat Freak. IMDb's rating is 8.0. Let's get to Chapter 3, The Pollywog. IMDb 8.1. Dustin finds a weird creature in the trash can and names it Dart because feeding it candy bars is totally safe, right? Meanwhile, 11 grows restless, hiding out with Hopper. This episode matters because Dart isn't just a pet, he's a demodog in training. And Dustin's bond with Dart, it's like every 80s kid who thought their pet was magical until it eats their cat.
Don't give it water. Episode 4, Joyce and Hopper make a house-sized puzzle of Hawkins. Hopper calls 11 a B-R-A-T, brat. Oh! She finds her mom. Dustin's pet Demogorgon kills his cat. Nancy gets closer to Jonathan.
That's Chapter 4, Will the Wise, and the 8.2 on IMDb. That episode was like The Exorcist meets Firestarter. I hope somebody got that reference. Chapter 5, Dig Dug. Nancy and Jonathan team up with Murray Bowman, the ultimate 80s conspiracy theorist, to expose Hawkins' lab. Meanwhile, Hopper gets trapped in the tunnels and 11 searches for her mother. This episode is special in all kinds of ways because it blows the lid off of the lab cover-up and expands 11's backstory. Also, Murray's bunker, that's straight out of a Cold War thriller.
Episode 6, Nancy and Jonathan had sex? ? Steve and Dustin go monster hunting. Will stops being Will and is possessed by the shadow monster demon. 11 spends time with her mommy.
And what about Steve with that nail bat? That's an instant 80s action hero, am I right? That's episode 6, The Spy. IMDb's rating 8.5. Let's get to Chapter 7, The Lost Sister. IMDb 6.8. We might as well skip this episode because it's so awful and the fans out there agreed that all it was a total departure from Hawkins, but we still got neon lights and mohawks, so I guess that was kind of cool, but it really explored 11's identity and powers, even if it was a...
I honestly forgot that episode even existed.
You should. Everybody should wipe that one from the existence because it's like Fonz jumped the shark, which would have only happened a couple years before this.
Right. Episode 8, Showdown at the Science-y Lab. Bob was too pure for this world. Demodogs, apocalypse, Billy is a bigot and has a bad dad. Love bombing Will to bring him back to himself. And 11's punk rock return just in time.
All that tension straight out of an Aliens film. That was the Mind Flayer in Chapter 8, 8.5 on IMDb. Takes us to Episode 9. Wait a minute. Stranger Things doesn't have 9 things an episode. This one does. Chapter 9 is called The Gate. IMDb's rating of an 8.4. 11 returns to close the gate in an epic showdown while the gang fights off the Demodogs. Will is finally freed from the Mind Flayer and Hawkins gets a temporary breather. This episode matters because it wraps this season with heart and heroicism. And that snowball dance. Pure John Hughes magic, am I right? And that's Season 2, bigger monsters, new faces, and enough neon lights to light up Hawkins and more. Next time we'll tackle Season 3 because nothing says summer like malls, fireworks, and Russian spies. Until then, keep your Eggo stash stocked and your nail bat handy.